All right, so Mormon security, I'll basically tell you what they do. So they basically have a pop-up app that comes on basically a hacked computer in the Benton County, and probably Franklin also. And essentially, the Mormon security that calls themselves a wizard, what they really are is called a Mormon witch. When Mormon talks in retard land, they talk backwards about this type of stuff. What they really are is essentially what is another type of hypnotist that essentially is involved with doing what other satanic hypnotists do in a satanic butterfly caterpillar way. They have their version of that type of stuff. Mormon witches, those are basically NAMBLAs, basically. And so what they really do is they, the investigation or person that does a preliminary, they essentially go, and then whatever, they say something, and that essentially like either their device or something will be recorded basically in a live way by the Mormon temple. And that then the Mormon temple has a pre-made hack to their computer, to their own personal devices, whatever it is. That then essentially they give them access to Mormon's version of an FBI index. That essentially anybody that starts divulging anything basically gets a profile that gets reworked in all fucking ways to make the person discreditable. And that then they don't actually officially state any reasons, and that this is what I've been exploiting. See, they don't have any official reason to not be investigating. And one of the things that I know about the modern inoculation methods is that essentially they usually like just decide behind the scenes and then they just don't do anything. And so then when in any normal police investigation world, basically the amount of information that I have would be enough to start any investigation, but they won't have any official reason to not investigate. See, the whole idea is that public tips and stuff are enough to start an investigation, and that essentially, if they just choose to not do that, they're exercising what's called discretionary incompetence. And that's basically where they seem to think that their little behind the scenes discussion stuff is like enough to justify, but then they don't really have any reasons. And that this is where I started all of this because of a terror plot, which is like a mandatory investigation. And so essentially, they probably would have done the same thing where mandatory investigation, they would have just not had any reason for not investigating. Just like they have mandatory reporting for child abuse and stuff. That stuff falls under this kind of idea too. Essentially, they ask Mormon if something's true or not. And then if Mormon doesn't confirm the truth or something, then they won't mandatorily report. Just like with a terror plot, they wouldn't mandatorily investigate. And that then they don't have any official reason. See, what they'll do is they'll just sit there as their little dumb fucking gang group looking at my notes and shit. And that then the whole idea is that they'll just go, those are crazy. And see, my interaction that I actually taped of a deputy who's in deputy gang, if there's validity to it. How do you determine validity without an investigation? Did you guys use the Mormon Security Index? Was there a determination behind the scenes of somebody's brain being controlled or something? That's what I really wonder. See, they have all of these little special, like, but don't they see the reasons? And see, this is what I'm exploiting, is that these are the reasons, because Mormon security is a fundy. And then that's like where they come up with these weird, bizarre fucking explanations and shit that they now is filtering into deputy gangs. And that this type of stuff is like what Mormons internally like view as schizo or brain controls or whatever the fuck they come up with. And so that's how you can really fish out your dumb Mormon cops that are in deputy gang, because that's essentially they're a part of it. And that they'll all be going, but look, he drew on this page. And that then they'll sit around wondering, why don't they adhere to the super geniusness of the Mormon retard? And so this is like where the deputy gangs, in the modern deputy gangs, they all get these type of weird theoretical trainings. And that this is one of them. And that one of those weird theoretical trainings is essentially stuff that just justifies reasons to not do anything. I mean, that's pretty much what their training is to basically maintain a high-priced inoculation system. And that this is where Mormon in Utah is able to embed themselves through so many layers of the government there, that this is the type of stuff that would be used in Utah and shit. And that you see that their reasonings are like, somebody is crazy because they drew them a picture. And then they sit around wondering, why don't they like adhere to this like really super advanced genius theoretical about analysis of somebody's notes? And that then they wait for everybody to arrest them. And then if nobody arrests them, then they'll view it as a legal methodology, huh? So if a drug dealer sells drugs without getting arrested, does that make it legal? So just remember that you people are breaking laws, and this is what I know about all of you. You people respond by feeling really, really confident about fucking breaking laws. You guys literally like to prove that you guys are some sort of secret agency sometimes. This is one of the things that they do. They attempt to prove that they're a secret agency by using their blackmail corruption system to get away with crimes in front of everybody's fucking face. And then that's supposed to be some ergo. The CIA allows us to do. That is what that's one of their methods, okay? They're not allowed to run an FBI index for this extreme bias vigilante reasons. And that here's another reason why that shit's illegal, because basically it's used to justify disregarding mandatory reporting and terror investigations now. That's why it's illegal. See, you Mormons should just realize that you people, they're used to the white clothes people, have made demonstrations in a different dark web on what that is supposed to be used for. And that those people knew that it was basically borderline illegal in the past, and that they would only use it very like internally, and that they would not necessarily allow. And that the other thing that they would do is that if they were going to use this cop influence with it, every single thing was pedo-y perfectly confirmed in the past. And you people are building biased versions of that based on your guys' little fundy dick, little whiny, little bitch Mormonism problem of hatred at people for figuring out, because you guys aren't able to deal with the modern hacking world that figures out your guys' little stupid little fucking Mormon witch shit. See, Mormons? Nerds. Nerds wonder about people that do wizard stuff and weird fantasy weird shit. And that this is where, just remember that those people in the past, those investigation people in the past, they would only see this internal bias shit. That's the stuff that they would only do inside of their LDS community. And that then, if there was like a real problem, then they would always make sure that stuff was real. Always. And that it was basically meant on like, well, this is what we have, and that they would take stuff out if they couldn't confirm it and shit, and that they wouldn't have some completely sane person being completely considered insane with schizophrenia kind of shit in it. Okay? That's where I know what you people were doing. Okay? You guys made discussions that got broadcasted all over the fucking dark web worldwide about how somebody drew a picture on a fucking piece of paper and how you guys called them a schizophrenic or crazy because of it. That's the kind of shit that those people in the past would have never have done. All right? If it was somebody like me, they would literally call me a sane and very logical and genius person. Somebody to trust about all of this stuff. That's the only thing that would have ever come out of their fucking mouths in the past. And so just because little Mormon, little cuck dick, stupid, retard, little Mormon witch doesn't have his little hypno microphone working right, huh? He like turns into a little pissy, little weird, little witchy bitch. You know what a real wizard can do to a stupid little pedophile? Can turn them into a whiny little pissy bitch.